for tuning in again today. We're excited to bring you another awesome guest from the sports industry. I cannot wait to hear more about his career. So let's go ahead and get started. Nick, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Very excited to be here.
Well, I just cannot wait to learn more about you and what you do. Would you mind taking just a few minutes to tell me who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
Sure, absolutely. So, my name is Nick Richardson. I work for the Texas Rangers Baseball Club in Arlington, Texas. I'm the vice president of ticket retention and new business development. And I am originally from Southern Oklahoma. I think this is relevant because a lot of, especially small town students, don't see some of the different opportunities that are out there. I graduated with 43 people in a town of 2,000 called Warrika, Oklahoma, and really ended up here being in the right place at the right time and presenting myself professionally as a college student. And then I've been here with the Rangers ever since. So kind of a strange path, different from the norm, getting an internship and, applying and things of that nature. But it's been a fun road, a very rewarding journey, and something that I love to share about.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you shared that with us because you're exactly right. So many students think that they're from a small town and just don't have as many opportunities, but you are living proof that the opportunities are there. So love that. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about your journey from high school to where you are now? How did that take place?
Absolutely. So when I graduated high school, I was originally going to go to the University of Oklahoma uh, with a path of going into medicine. And I played in a summer baseball league post graduation. Through that league, I was awarded a scholarship to play junior college baseball. So I went and played JUCO ball for 2 years at Western Oklahoma State College in Altus, Oklahoma. I graduated with a degree in pre-medical sciences there. And then from that point, I had baseball offers. I had a opportunity to go to Oklahoma still and finish up there, or I had a full academic scholarship at Cameron University. So I took that, stopped playing ball specifically to go to school. I had another opportunity at Cameron once I got there to continue playing ball, but I'd already started working, got a job. I was waiting tables. I had cash in my pocket all the time. I loved working. I thought it was a blast to learn new things. I met so many new people. And so I said no to that opportunity to play ball and just did school and worked. Actually worked 3 jobs. I opened the fitness center on campus every morning at 6 a.m., Monday through Friday. I worked at actually Chili's, which is a Brinker International company, waiting tables, and then worked my way up into like a trainer, and then was at a point where they wanted to send me to manager in training, their manager in training program post-graduation. However, I got the internship with the Rangers, so I took that. And then I also worked in retail at American Eagle in the mall. So I juggled full load of school with 3 jobs and social life and involvement on campus. I also was the president of Aggie Ambassadors, which is our student recruitment organization on campus. So I always encourage people, especially how do I stand out when it comes to getting a job and things like that? Get involved. Don't just do 1 or 2 things. Don't just go to school, because simply going to school is pretty easy. Go to school and stretch yourself a little bit, not so thin that you can't sleep and rest and be active and be social, but do enough that you're filling your plate, you're getting tons of experience, and making sure that you're presenting yourself to multiple people throughout, whether it's the different segments or industries that are in your college town. During that process, I flipped from pre-medical sciences to business because, no offense to science, I just could not see myself doing science. I didn't like science that much. So I flipped to business. I have a degree in marketing. I really loved the interpersonal development with business folks. And so I graduated with a bachelor's degree in marketing. And then shortly after that, I had already earned the internship with the Rangers, or received it. A week after graduation, moved down to Arlington and started my internship and, of course, my career with the team.
That is an awesome journey. I mean, I love that you mentioned you work 3 jobs. That is so important to get experience, just like you said. And, so many times students think that the part time job that they have in high school or even in college doesn't matter. But ultimately, you're getting experience, you're learning your work ethic, you're meeting new people every single day that could potentially open up doors for you. So I'm glad you stressed the importance of that.
Absolutely. And firm believer in the relationship side of everything that we do. There's actually a great book out there called The Power of Who, written by Bob Bodine, who really talks deeply about your inner web of people that you know and where those connections can lead you in your career journey.
Absolutely. And we'll link that book in the discussion so that students can check it out.
Perfect.
So, my next question for you is, what do your daily activities look like? I'm sure it's different every single day, but you can imagine just an average day in your shoes. What does that look like?
So I have a staff of 8 that I oversee. I oversee the hiring and onboarding and developing of our brand new sales reps. I am consistently working with different universities. I have contacts with different schools across the country. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. People reach out to me, ask advice about career and getting into sports and how they can position themselves correctly, things that they can do to give themselves a step ahead. So I'm reviewing those types of things. Then, of course, training and developing the reps as they come in. Some come in with a little bit of experience, some come in with zero experience. And so working with the different personalities, making sure that I understand the human side of who they are and what they are trying to achieve, and really work with each individual differently than the other. Some are high motor, high achievement. They like a pat on the back because they did something well, and some just simply want to be left alone. And when they have a question, you answer it and you help them develop their skills, and then you leave them alone and let them go to work. And so trying to find out the different personalities and work with each of them. On top of developing those folks, I'm also responsible for doing a lot of reporting on the leadership side, much of the decision making around pricing and the different types of plans and things that we offer. I am fortunately the one that gets to handle a lot of the angry customer calls when it comes to the sell side of things. Myself and Dan Hessling, our other VP, that's part of our department. We report to our SVP, which oversees the entire department. But most of it's reporting, putting out fires, making sure that we're developing our reps, making sure that we're hitting different call, email, and communication metrics with our clients, and then servicing after we sell those folks, and making sure that they have the best experience possible. So that's probably a nutshell of what it encompasses.
Yes, you sound like a super busy guy.
It's, when it's 200 to 300 emails a day plus a revolving door of people asking questions, it can tend to be a little bit busy, but that's okay. That's what makes it go by.
So you mentioned that you're part of the ticket pricing strategy process. Could you talk a little bit about how ticket prices are set? I mean, I know you don't just pull a number out of thin air. How does that work?
So what we do is we get a budget from ownership every year. They lay out at a 10,000 foot level what the budget of the team should look like based on player payroll, based on capital expenses. If there's loans out on a bank for a new building or whatever it may be, they set that budget. And then from there, we dive into how do we get to that budget? What do we need to sell? What does the average ticket price need to be? How does that break down for season tickets, for groups, and then for suite rentals? And we get really granular as far as, what does the ticket include? So as an example, if we have an all-you-can-eat group ticket, that ticket's going to need to be somewhere between $40 to $50 or $60 per game to cover not only what we need that ticket to produce revenue-wise, but also the food and beverage component that is completely separate that goes to a third-party company. So simply breaking it down on what's our budget, what are our expenses, and what do we need our average ticket price to be, and then kind of working up and down from there, making sure that we still have an affordable option, but we also have the most premium options that include food and beverage, parking, and really all the bells and whistles.
could you say maybe how many ticket price levels you guys offer? I'm sure there's a lot.
It's approximately 35 different price levels that we offer, and that's on the season ticket range. Then from there, you would have a similar number on the individual ticket range. And then we dynamically price our season tickets, not our season tickets, but our individual tickets, excuse me, to where if it's, opening day, obviously that is a huge asset for every team. That price is going to be quite a bit higher. If it's a Tuesday against an opponent who's a sub 500 opponent, that ticket's going to be a lot less. Or if for some reason we set a particular giveaway, promotional item, number retirement, some sort of ceremony, Hall of Fame induction ceremony, then that ticket typically is going to be a higher price ticket because people are going to want to come to that game. And we work with different companies. The most recent is QQ. They do dynamic pricing for us and make recommendations. And so they get data from all of the teams in DFW. They understand what our capacity is, what our promotions are, and then every time, let's just say 1,000 tickets get sold in a certain area that may have 4,000 tickets in that price point, to make the numbers nice and round, they will recommend a price bump. And so dynamically, the price is going to go up depending on overall attendance, the giveaway, or what may be going on that particular game. Maybe it's a Friday or a Saturday. Maybe a good example, it's a Yankees or a Red Sox or an Astros game, who are some of our more headbutting opponents that people like to come watch us either play, lose to, or win against. And then, of course, the games like opening day, and which I've mentioned. And anytime we play, an opponent, DFW is a melting pot of people from all over the country, simply because the tax advantages of doing business and living in Texas are so great that you have a lot of Chicago Cubs fans. You have a lot of Dodgers fans. You do have a lot of Yankees and Red Sox fans. You have a lot of Cardinals fans. So those opponents in interleague, that a lot of those fans have moved to Texas because of the advantages of living here. We actually will capitalize on them coming to the game because those tickets are going to be priced a little higher than, say, your A's game or your Angels game, where that opponent may not be as popular.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about. I mean, when you buy tickets to a game, you see the different prices, but it seems like there's a lot of strategy that goes into those ticket prices.
Absolutely. And it's not something that we do alone. We outsource some of that to companies that's what they specifically specialize in, but we do have a great business analytics department that helps us strategize on pricing, especially on the individual and season ticket side.
So you mentioned earlier that you have a background in marketing. So would you consider sales, the department that you're in, very closely related to marketing, or what would you say the biggest differences are?
Yes and no. And the reason I say that is because the way I wish that more schools did direct sales related degrees in college, because selling is a transitional skill. I like to say sales skills are life skills, because when you go to buy a car, when you go to buy a house, when you do many of the different things you do in life, understanding the sales side of it will help you negotiate better. It will help you save money over time. Marketing is more the brand of the team, if you will, and we work very close hand in hand. The best way to describe it is marketing is the brand of the team and also a service function of selling. At the end of the day, whether you're a for-profit or not-for-profit organization, sales is what makes the ship sail and run and makes the gears turn. If you don't have some sort of sales component and there's no revenue coming in, then nothing's happening. And so marketing is helping some of that by painting a picture, building the brand, making fans have a higher affinity for your organization. Then we are working off of that to sell, but they are also delivering the messages that we're trying to deliver to fans also. So it's very different, but we do kind of work in the same bucket, if you will. They have half, we have half, and both halves are very important to make the whole, but at the same time, completely different tasks on a normal day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you've talked a lot about ticket sales and that department of selling, but With any sports team, there's sponsorships, right? So does your department work with sponsorship sales, or is that a completely different department?
Completely different. And there are some teams that do both, especially at the minor league level, but at the professional level, usually you have a separate sponsorship group versus ticket sales because you want each segment with a hyper focus. So sponsorship, the way I like to equate it is ticket sales is more black and white. The price is the price. You're trying to sell something as far as a way that we can help a company or an individual, whether it's bring in new business or for an individual, have more quality pre-planned out time or do something, with the family or do something they enjoy with the family on a consistent basis. On the sponsorship side, it's a lot more gray. And because a wall sign, they might rate card that at say 250,000, but included in that sign, they may negotiate a set of seats. They may negotiate 5 or 6 suite outings. And so it's a little bit more of a longer sales process as well. It's not pick up the phone and you might make a sell right there on that phone. There's a lot more frequency on the ticket sales side. It's a little bit of a long game on the sponsorship side. So those are really the main differences. But we do have a separated department because they're making a lot less calls, a lot less outbound outreach, and doing a lot more research. We're more volume. We are doing a little bit of research based on the company we're calling, but we are calling and emailing and LinkedIning and doing all these things at a much higher rate and a higher capacity.
That's very interesting. I'm sure there's some components, like you mentioned, that are the same, but as you mentioned, very, very different as well, too. So,
Absolutely.
So I want to talk a little bit about you personally, well, not personally, but professionally, and really get some good advice for our high school students out there. So I'm sure just like everyone else on your professional journey, you've probably encountered some obstacles. Would you mind discussing how you overcame those obstacles and what advice you might have for students to do the same?
I think the first thing that you have to look at is your personal presentation. And that extends all the way to your social footprint. And so you should be very mindful of what you post. My rule of thumb is if my grandmother would not approve, then I probably shouldn't post it. I try to be very neutral on social issues because they can be very divisive one way or another. So I tried to, not that they're not important by any means, but I try to be neutral on those things when it comes to social media and what I'm putting out there. Always positive. You never know the setting that you're in, and a negative person can bring an entire room down. That personal presentation should be professional. If you're amongst friends, that's different. But if you're in a more social setting where you're in a mixed crowd or group, I think that's what helped me get to where I'm at today. Even getting the internship was, I was a college student. I was among professionals that worked for the Rangers. I had a positive interaction with someone. They went and told the president of the Rangers, hey, this young man he's very professional, speaks well. You should sit down and have a conversation with them. And what I thought too was just an impromptu, hi, how you doing, was actually kind of a pre-planned get to know you. And then it turned into an internship. And then as far as anytime you make a mistake, ultimate ownership, you're going to make mistakes. I've made mistakes, especially when it comes to going out with your friends that you work with and different things like that, or on a company trip. You're going to have failures along the way. Understand that there's a way forward from that. Your character and what you've done and your whole body of work leading up to that matter. So you're going to get a lot more grace when you make those mistakes if the body leading up to that mistake is really wholesome. And then from there, you take ownership of it, and then you move on and you make sure that you don't make those mistakes again. Kind of the philosophy that I try to live by is grow daily, live virtuously, and create value. If I can learn something new every day through reading, podcasting, articles on LinkedIn, or having conversations with whether it's friends, family, coworkers, or other professionals across my industry or other industries. I want to learn something new every day and try to create a large Rolodex of experiences. I'm a master of nothing, but I like to be really good at a lot of things. And so that's the way I think about stuff. I want to be in rooms with people who are smarter than me. Then additionally, live virtuously. Look up the definition of virtue. It's honorable. It's high character. It's who you are at all times, no matter if it's behind closed doors or forward facing with folks. And then the last one, make sure that you are creating value for your organization, period. If you create value on a daily basis for your organization, whether it's a team, a school, a club, or whatever it may be, you're going to inherently create value for yourself. And so those promoted opportunities, those raise opportunities, the leadership opportunities are going to come oftentimes without you needing to ask. And if you have to constantly ask, and you know for a fact by the numbers you are creating value for the organization, then that may not be the place that you should even be working. You may need to find another opportunity. That's people are like, why are you with the Rangers for almost 17 years when there's other opportunities? Because you do see a lot of people bouncing around sports for titles and responsibilities. And I say, because my goal is focused on creating the best value for the organization that I can, and I have been rewarded by that. If I wasn't rewarded by that, then yes, another opportunity would make more sense. But I have always been rewarded by the value that I create for the organization.
Those are just great rules to live by. I mean, and they're transferable to any career path that a student chooses. So
Absolutely.
love that. So my next question is, I guess based off my own personal experience, when I was in high school, I didn't realize there were so many different opportunities that are out there. And so one of my favorite things to ask is, what career opportunities have you discovered along your journey that you had no clue existed when you were in high school?
Wow. What is there not? God. I mean, I had no idea a sports organization was made up the way it is. You have everything that a traditional company would have: legal, accounting, HR, sales, service, marketing, sponsorship, security, building operations. There's so many different things that are out there, but all of that can live within one organization. At the same time, I grew up farmers, ranchers, doctors, lawyers, car salespeople, manufacturing, different things like that, school teachers, or do you work for the government, right? And so I didn't know a lot about some of the different opportunities that are out there, from image coaches to social media folks that's all they do is brand driving on social media. I mean, they drive different brands and they get paid for it. So there's a lot of different ways you can make money, whether it's oil and gas and it's a more blue collar, get your hands dirty type of role, ranching or farming or things like those jobs are needed. Most people look at a career, more of a blue collar, like a plumbing job, as, oh my gosh, I would never want to be a plumber. If you're a master plumber, you are absolutely crushing it financially. It takes a ways to get there and you have to do extra school, but don't discount something that is familiar with you because you think, oh, that's, so-and-so's dad and they don't do well. Well, don't look at it that way. The effort that you put into it will also produce higher results. And so look at any potential opportunity out there and what makes sense. Those types of jobs are extremely important. And we can't, or won't, I guess I should say, live without plumbers, without dentists, without doctors, without lawyers. Those folks are going to be there. Auto repair. You're not going to go through life without someone that can fix your car. And so look at your career that way. How can I find something that brings me joy, not happiness? I think there's a big difference. That brings me joy, that I can provide for my family, and what makes me joyful about living and about living a certain lifestyle, and then go for that. Don't just settle for something that It's the first job I got out. But for me, it was the first job. But I'm lucky, in my opinion, to be where I'm at and to do what I do. Not that I haven't worked hard for it, but it wasn't what I set out to do. And I've learned that there are so many different opportunities out there that it's almost endless. And there are things that will be coming in the next 5 to 10 years that we never dreamed of, that will be someone's job.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. I think many times we put limitations on ourselves and think that we have to do exactly what we intended to set out to do when we graduated. But just like you mentioned, you never dreamed to be working where you are. You had planned to do the medical field. And so I think that's true for so many people. Is it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to make big career changes throughout your journey. So,
there's another book that I think is phenomenal. And the reason I think it's phenomenal is called Build Your Life, or Designing Your Life. Sorry, Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett. And they teach a class at Stanford related. He was a designer by trade and worked on designing the hinges on Apple computers, knowing that those things needed to not only look sleek, because Apple products are sleek, but it also needed to function, opening that and closing thousands of times without fail and without noise, and simply to deliver the best possible product that they could. Well, then he had a career shift late in life. And what a lot of people are finding out is they may do something for a while, but they fail to ever shift their career into something not only that they feel like fills their passion and their purpose. Because you can have all the passion in the world, but if you don't have a purpose driving that passion, then it's all for naught. And so he wrote a book that helps folks, whether it's someone that's my age, someone that's younger, or someone that's older than me, shift to what they're both passionate about and what drives them as far as their purpose on earth, if you will. And it's okay to shift even later in life. There's a lot of people that shift in retirement. They are at retirement age and they've worked for a company for 20, 30 years, and they're at that point where I can retire, but I still want to produce. I still want to be an asset. And so they find something completely different. And this book is actually a class, like I said, taught at Stanford, helping students, even like myself, shifting from a medical track to a business track, figure out exactly what they want to do. It's a very valuable book.
Yeah, I'm excited to check that one out for sure.
Absolutely.
So my last question that we have for you, and I think this is a perfect one to end on, is what is something that you wish you would have learned at a younger age?
I would say and it's not something I've ever struggled with, fortunately, but I wish I, as well as, students coming up now, understood basic life skills better. From financing a car to financing a house to balancing a budget, balancing a checkbook, making sure, understanding the impact of interest on a credit card, and all of those things, and the importance of, living as close to debt free as possible. Like I'm not debt free. I have a car payment and I have a house payment, but if you pack on student loans and you pack on credit card debt, which is at a very high interest rate, or you pack on a lot of other things, it's going to make your life a lot more challenging. And for my wife and I, my family and I, we've gotten to travel more. And a lot of people look from a social standpoint at what we get to do and like, oh, you're just, you're so lucky, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, we've prepared for this. Mm-hmm. We don't have student loans. We don't have a lot of debt. Every bill gets paid off on time. The credit card bill gets paid off every month. We don't live beyond our means. We understand how to finance things appropriately and how to save money. 10% of every paycheck I get goes into an account off the top. And then from there, I use that to then put that into a Roth IRA. So at the start of every year, my Roth is fully funded and that's growing and at a high rate. Start investing financially early. Don't wait until you're 35 or 40 to do that. If you start at 26, you're going to be shocked at how much extra you're gaining by investing early. Yes, live, enjoy your life, spend some money, go some places, but at the same time, make sure you set that money aside and plan for that future.
That is such good advice. And I think making sure that you're aware of what lifestyle you want to live and then make plans to live that lifestyle. And it does take planning. Absolutely. So that is wonderful advice to end on, Nick. I am so glad I got to meet you, hang out with you today. I think you've had some wonderful words of wisdom for our students. And to everyone that tuned in, be sure and check back every single week. We have a new industry professional every Thursday. See you guys later.